Elon, in terms of our money, not knowing how our
Yeah.
money is being used, here's another one. People in the US don't know this, but our taxpayer money is literally paying the salaries of the people who work for the Ukrainian government. And if we're going
Okay.
to do it, let's at least see it, right? Let's at least
Yeah.
be able to account for it and see the
That sounds,
dollars.
yeah.
But
I mean, yeah. I mean, like, I think I believe in supporting Ukraine, but we're just, yeah, we want to know that the money is actually going to help the
so
people of
why?
Ukraine,
Why, Elon? Can I
and
ask you that?
it's not. Just want to make sure: are we enriching a handful of oligarchs, or are we
Yep.
actually helping the people of Ukraine? And we just need to make sure we're actually helping the people of Ukraine as much as possible. I think I wouldn't say like some impossible standard for like no corruption, because I think we have some corruption even in the U.S. So it can't be like no corruption, but let's just like say like what percentage is going to like a warlord versus the people. The people should get most of it.
Well, speaking of warlords, though, and I would love to hear your perspective, Elon, which I respect, but I haven't heard it on this issue on why you think it's important for us to be there. You talk about the word warlords. I think the way this is going to end, and possibly like in the next 12 months, is it's not going to end well for Ukraine. All that money we poured in is much of it in the form of military equipment that's going to end up in the hand of some post Zelensky warlord. And then we have exactly a repetition of exactly what we did when we armed the Mujahideen after the USSR invaded Afghanistan. We've seen this movie time and again. And I'm a little bit worried that, among other reasons why I personally do not come down on the side of the U.S. supporting Ukraine, we can go into. As a practical matter, I think that is where we're currently on track to head, is about $200 billion of military equipment ending up in somebody's hands who we have no idea who that really is. And we're only going to find out after the fact, like we have so many times in the last 50 years of failed interventionist strategy. But I'd
Right.
actually open-mindedly
Well,
curious what your perspective is on this.
well,
Yeah.
can I remind everyone that Elon posted a poll on Ukraine? I think this was in September of last year. It was
Yes.
about 9 months ago, and it was
Exactly.
basically a peace proposal, which proposed a peace on the following terms. It was roughly that Ukraine would remain neutral, which is to say it wouldn't join NATO or any other military alliance, and the territories of Crimea and Donbass would be decided by the right of self-determination, basically to hold free and fair elections.
Supervised, internationally supervised.
Exactly. So the people of those territories would decide. And then, assuming Crimea went with Russia, because historically
Which
it
they
always
would.
has been Russian,
Yeah.
and it's 80 to 90% Russian, that their
Supporting.
water rights would be secured, so they didn't die of famine or something.
Yeah.
And that was basically the peace proposal. And it was massively shouted down on Twitter, including by no less a person than he himself, who said that this was a pro-Russian proposal. And anyone proposing peace really over the last year has been pretty much shouted down and called the worst names, called an appeaser, called a Putin puppet and all sorts of things like that, when really we just wanted to figure out a amicable or a reasonable compromise to the situation. And about 60% of the people voted against the peace proposal. But now, if you look at the situation, what we're getting is not better. It's much worse.
Yeah, it's going to get worse from here, not better. Exactly. The reason I put that proposal was for the benefit of Ukraine, not for the benefit of Russia. So it's like, I want to be clear. I'm on Ukraine's side here, big time, and I've demonstrated that with actions, with the massive support that Starlink has provided, which the Ukrainian government has been acknowledged many times. Frankly, it was instrumental in the war. So
This is a fun one, actually, probably because the three of us have kind of complementary perspectives here. I'm on America's side on this because I'm running to be the U.S. president, but I'm not sure that the cut and dry Ukraine side of this versus Russia side of this is as clean as we make it out to be, in the sense that there's a lot of history here in the Donbass region, and there's a lot of history for NATO saying that we would not expand. This is James Baker, the U.S. Secretary of State's commitment to Gorbachev in 1991, that we would not expand 1 inch. That was the famous not 1 inch commitment beyond Germany. And yet here we are now, even not only admitting more nations to NATO after the fall of the USSR than we ever did during the USSR, but now even entertaining the possibility of Ukraine joining NATO, which was the one hard commitment that Putin required, or at least appeared to demand, prior to his decision to actually pull the trigger and invade